Angela Jacques, also known as Lil AFPV, is the primary race organizer for FPV Mexico. She also has an FPV story that no one will ever top. And I invite you to listen to this talk that we had about FPV culture in Mexico. You will be blown away. It's awesome. Bye.
Like,
Let's let's jump into that. Because the I live, and this is probably going to trigger people. I live in a very privileged area. It's the suburbs, probably at least middle class, and some people might consider it upper class. But it's a nice neighborhood. My daughter goes out on bike rides. I never worry about her. So we have a nice area around here. And definitely most of the people that I have talked to have not expressed, concerns about their safety. And I think the one exception that stands out was that Bob Ruge, at one point was flying at a typical place where he goes. He was flying by himself, and he got approached by some kind of law enforcement, and he pulled his gun on him.
oh
And
wow.
Bob was like, I'm never going there again. I mean, Bob was, and he was in the goggles, and he could see the guy with the gun out. I believe I may have the story wrong. But that was
Wow.
obviously, there's, sometimes there's issues with law enforcement around here. But how does the FPV culture in Mexico differ from what I just described about here in the U.S.?
I think, I mean, it's definitely smaller. Mexico doesn't have, because I mean, it all responds to economics, like,
Hmm.
if people can or cannot afford things. So, Mexico doesn't have a huge hobby culture. It's
Hmm.
not like people, like Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer and RC things. And yeah, there is a culture, but it's not as big as in the US. We don't, like, as a country, we don't have that much money to spend on hobby like activities. So it's definitely smaller. Also, most of the things we obviously have to buy from outside the country, and we have like really weird battery policies. It
Mm.
goes like up and down, like every 6 months, and sometimes it's really hard to import batteries. And then we always have like big taxes whenever things are coming in, like whenever you import stuff. And once the word got out that it was drone parts or drones were big or whatever, they just started abusing it. Like, it's super corrupt. Mexico's just absolutely super corrupt. And it's one of the most corrupt countries in the world. And you'd never know what to expect. Like, you never know when they're going to say, you know what, this tiny whoop you just got? Yeah, this is like a phantom. So I'm just going to charge you taxes like it was a phantom. It's like, it's not even close. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
But you can't argue with the umpire, so
Hmm.
they'll just charge you whatever they want to charge you, and that's what makes it really hard for us. But Pyro Drone has saved our lives. Like, Pyro sends really, like, he sends things fast, very reasonable prices. Like, it has been our savior. So that's a great store for us. But usually the community in Mexico is just smaller compared to the US, definitely smaller. Like,
Hmm.
our Mexico Drone Nationals annual race, it has less pilots than a local multi GP race in the US.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's like congregating everyone. So we have
Yeah.
about, like, people flying FPV, I would say like maybe near 100, not quite active, all of them. But then people, like, actively creating freestyle content, I would say no more than 10. And people, I mean, I might have this wrong, but I think I kind of know
In
the
all of
community.
Mexico?
Oh yeah, like active freestyle content.
Wow.
I would say about 10 to 15 tops, pilots. And racing pilots, I would say, like, consistently racing, no more than 50. Consistently racing, like 50 is just such a far stretch. I mean, I would say no more than 30. Like, 30 is so many.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's not huge, But it's such a fun community. We have so much fun, and Mexico is such a beautiful country. So as long as you're in packs, like just
Mm-hmm.
we always go flying together. You're gonna be just fine. Like we just hiked a mountain in the state of Jalisco like this weekend, so
Mm-hmm.
we could fly from a top, and it was just gorgeous. But like this is the kind of things that we have to do. Like we went there, it was a beautiful setting, and I was just like, is this safe? Like just I mean, is this like generally a safe area?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, last time I was in a similar area, we got kidnapped for about 5 hours, and they were
Oh
like,
my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
gosh.
And I'll tell you that story because that's a
Yeah.
good one. And then like 5 minutes later, we drive up to a car. It's just like an abandoned car. They already stole like the tires and I don't know how you call it, los ejes. I don't know how you say that in English. But they had stolen like a bunch of parts from the car,
Mm-hmm.
and the car was just like there, and you could actually like see inside the whole thing. It was just like, oh, okay, so someone shot from here to there, and they broke like the entire front window. And I mean, definitely someone died there. Like, there's no question that someone died there. And you could see like they were trying to escape, and like you could see the whole thing, and it was pretty scary. For
Wow.
a second, we were like, should we? Should we not? We
Mm-hmm.
finally decided to do it. We were like 8 of us, and then we just parked our cars and started hiking up. And then once we were up there, we could actually see the car, like the car that
Mm-hmm.
was all shut up and everything. It's just the things that you sometimes come up with. And races are super safe, and we take care of that. We always have really safe places to fly, but it's not like you can go out and explore. Like the whole freestyle experience is definitely different. It's definitely different. And that time that we got kidnapped, it was my first flight. Like we went to this park that you actually pay to get in, and it's really close to a state called Morelos, which is known for it being very violent. And we kind of like we should have been more careful. I mean, obviously it's not our fault. I'm not doing the whole victim blaming thing, but you also got to be on your toes, right? So we just got there and we had all our equipment, like our work equipment and our FPV equipment, everything, like Inspire, laptops, everything. We were testing that day, and we're gonna do some mission planning, and we're gonna do some fun flights, like the whole thing. And Jimmy and I got there first, and then Eric, another friend of ours, was gonna catch with us there. So then I'm flying my first pack, super happy, FPV goggles on, and I see these two guys, and I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I'm just not going to try to hit them, right? And then Jimmy's like, Angela, there are two guys there. He should have said, there are two guys there. We should get out of here, right? But he was like, just, try not to crash into them. I was like, yeah, yeah, it's fine. And then 5 seconds later, I have a gun in my head, and they
Oh
ripped
my
my
gosh.
goggles off, and like I didn't even know where I crashed, and like the whole thing, like you're screwed, we're gonna kill you, blah blah blah. So they pushed us into the car, like the back seat, and then we were just there for like so long. They stole everything. I mean, like I rescue dogs and cats from the
Mm-hmm.
streets of
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, so I always carry food with me for them.
Mm-hmm.
And this park had like a dog that was literally dying of hunger. So I bought it like a whole pack of food for that dog. And they even stole that. Like
Wow.
even even I mean, because we were there for 5 hours, right? So we got to sharing a lot. And I used all the techniques that you always use, like to calm them down and
Mm-hmm.
so they can empathize with you. And because I read a lot of like true crime stuff and things like that. And I was just
Yeah.
trying to keep us alive. That was the whole thing. And and then I remember even sharing that with them, like, yeah, I absolutely love to help out strays. Like, that's my thing. Like, I don't think I'll ever be rich because I'm dumb enough to, just throw my money to stray dogs and stray cats. And I'm okay with that. And even then, they stole the goddamn food. I can't believe that. But they took everything, like the backpack, batteries, chargers. We had like a huge high tech charger that I loved. All our tools, everything. Like we had to start from zero. Like I think the only thing that they didn't steal was my wings and a crossfire. They just didn't see. That was it. Like a loose crossfire that I had in the
Yeah.
front seat. And that was it. And they left us in the middle of nowhere, like in the forest. They drove us there, and they just tied our hands and left us there. And it was dark already. We had no money, no gas, no nothing. It was scary. Oh, and it's really the most FPV kidnap you will ever hear about, because they didn't only steal everything while we were flying, but they put a gun to my head while I was flying. And then after that, they tried to get me to teach them how to fly the quad while being like, they were like, don't look at me. Teach me how to fly, but don't look at me. But teach me, keep your head down. But you got to teach me how to fly. It's just like, you're going to hurt yourself. Like, seriously, you don't want me to arm. And then all of a sudden, it was like, we could hear our friend flying where we were supposed to meet. And
Oh,
these guys
wow.
were like, hey, that's another pilot. We should go get him. And I was like, oh no, oh no, 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 no,
Oh,
no, no. Like,
no.
he's a student, he's super young, he doesn't have any money. I mean, all these were lies, obviously. And like,
Right.
he has nothing. Like, please just don't go after him. Like, you guys are gonna get greedy, and you guys are gonna get caught. Just, take all the money I have in my account. It's fine. Like, we won't say anything. Just please don't go after him. And they didn't, which I'm so happy about. But that was our experience. And then I couldn't fly after that. And it took me about 6 months to get in the groove again. And after that, I went to Oregon, just trying to get away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was flying with friends over there, and it was November, so there were a lot of leaves on the floor and everything. And every time, like, I don't remember the guys that kidnapped us walking next to me. I can't remember that sound. But
Mm-hmm.
whenever I'm flying and I hear someone walking next to me, I get really nervous. Like, I just
Mm.
start shaking. So, I mean, yeah, it was definitely a traumatizing experience. It made me lose interest in FPV for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we had our first Latino Cup, like the first Latin American Cup. And I was just devastated. Like, I had no money, I had no quads, I had this huge responsibility of a huge Latin American event. It was the first one, like, no budget. I mean, it was just insane. So 2017 was definitely a crazy year. It was great because it started with huge races and then a trip with Zoe, but then this happened and it was just, ugh, ugh.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm so happy that we can sit here and talk to each other now.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, definitely.
golly. I,
Yeah. And that spot is known for like crazy stories. So now we know, and we're
yeah.
lucky. Like, we're the lucky ones. I feel like I've said this a lot this past week. We are the lucky ones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, regarding everything. I mean, we get to talk about our hobbies. We get to fly. We get to have this. We have internet. We have food, water. I mean, we are the lucky ones. Like, definitely,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, so it sounds like, there's a personal safety aspect of flying where you are. Um, I know that when I watched the episode of Rotor Riot, it was one of the last ones that Tommy and Kevin were in. And they
Yeah.
came down to Mexico, and they were with Wara
Yeah.
FPV, which I guess he would be one of the freestyle pilots that you mentioned.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yes.
he seems
Definitely.
like a pretty serious badass. I've seen a few of his videos.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but one of the things that they talked about that really kind of surprised me, but not, thinking about it now, it makes a little bit more sense, was that, like, everybody flies the same equipment. Is that true, or is that not necessarily? Was that just
No,
something
that's.
that they may have misrepresented?
I think that's no. I think that's very inaccurate. I don't think. No, I no.
Okay,
Definitely not. Maybe it was like that group.
that group of
Like,
people,
yeah, like sometimes one pilot buys something and everybody else around him
right?
likes it a lot. That might have been the case, but no, no, definitely not. There are a lot of people, not only flying different frames and motors and everything, but there are a
Mm-hmm.
few sponsor pilots. Like, there's a Pyrodrone sponsor pilot in the northern part of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Hobby Wing pilot in the central part of Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And they obviously have influence around, with the
Sure.
pilots around them.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But then I just met a guy in the city of Guadalajara who's designing his own frames, designing his own like cine whoops and everything. So there's a lot of people flying different things. And then there's a lot of people just flying old school stuff because they
Mm-hmm.
don't break anything because they fly rarely.
Yeah.
But no, definitely not this. No,
Okay.
I would
Well,
say that's inaccurate.
I just, it was just one of those things that stuck out to me about that video. Like, I mean, about that episode, it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. And it was one of those things. I don't remember who said it. I don't remember if it came from Tommy and Kevin, or if it came from Wara, or if it came from somewhere else. But it's so I when I heard it, it was one of those things where I was like, "Is that really true? Like, is that really?" Because I'm just like, I mean, I know here in the U.S., like everybody flies something different,
Yeah.
and I mean, occasionally you share parts with someone, especially if you're out in the field and somebody blows an ESC or something. It's like, hey, well, I've got this. You can just put this on there.
Yeah, of course.
But okay, well,
It's we have so many components to choose from. Like I don't think anybody anywhere is flying the same thing. Yeah,
okay.
even in small countries. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, besides, so we've kind of talked about the bad, we've kind of talked about the unusual. Tell me something that's great about the Mexican FPV culture that you may not find in other places.
The landscapes.
Okay.
The landscapes. Mexico is such a great place to explore, to go on road trips.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's one of the great things that I love. And the community loves to get together. Like, I mean, obviously you have your own groups and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but we absolutely love doing road trips just to go find new places, or go to races in other cities and be able to just stop on the way there. And I mean, it's such a great country. Like, I know it's unsafe and all that stuff, but even though you get to explore so much, and one of the other things that I really like is that even though people, like even though cops will want to like get money from you because they see you flying drones, I think it has a lot to do with the way you approach the situation. But we've always been very, very lucky. Like most of us have had great experiences regarding citizens or cops or things like that. Because unlike California, where I've seen crazy people do crazy things in AMA sanctioned fields, saying
Mm-hmm.
that you can't fly there and, just going crazy on you. I haven't experienced that in Mexico. People are usually very, very kind, and they're just very curious. So
Mm-hmm.
for us as pilots, it's great because it just allows us to explore so much. And also, I think there's like this is not exclusive from the Mexican community, but I think that it's worth mentioning that as the rest of the communities, we're very passionate about what we do. Like there
Mm-hmm.
is so much passion. There's so many people helping each other out. Like it's rare when you're going to find someone telling you don't even ask for help. I'm not going to help you out. Everyone's just so nice to each other. So I think it is a great community because I don't know, Mexico's a great country. Like its people is just we're happy people.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're definitely happy people for sure. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
that
good.
is for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So there's a couple. Yeah, I don't know. There's like this movement called van lifers. Have you ever heard of it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's this couple I follow called the Matinees, and they have been traveling. So they last year with another couple, they went down to Mexico and traveled through Mexico, and living in their van and traveling around. And I remember
Oh
watching a
wow.
lot of it, and I was like, that's really cool. Like, I mean, just the landscape, the places that they went, and like they pulled out a drone occasionally and would like capture some aerial, shots, but they weren't flying FPV or anything. And I just remember looking at it, going like, it seemed like a really rich environment.
Yes. We have all climates here except tundra. Like we have
Okay.
absolutely everything, like all sorts of deserts and cold places. Like right now it's really cold where I live.
Mm-hmm.
But you can find everything, absolutely everything. It's beautiful. And the
Mm-hmm.
food is great. I mean, Mexico. Yeah, the food is, I mean, I don't eat meat, but my God, the tacos. Like if there's something that I miss, it's the tacos. I mean, wow.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, it's great food. definitely, definitely. And I mean, once you find a good setup and you're sure about your equipment, your skills, and your safety, it's great for long range. Like you can go crazy here doing crazy long range. And we have so many volcanoes and mountains and valleys, and the beaches of Baja California, they're just beautiful. Like, oh my God. Yeah. Mexico's a must for anyone that flies FPV, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will see if I can plan a trip soon.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's so many, there's so many places, I mean, to go fly. And for me, it feels like I always fly the same 3 or 4 spots. And that's just because, you know, life and everything intrudes. I'm, you know, the father of 3, and, you know, I'm an Uber dad. I run people around all the time. But like, even, you know, there occasionally I'll go out and I'll fly over the bay here or the ocean, and it's always just so great to get out and just experience a new landscape. So
yeah, it feels great.
I'm very grateful that Angela and I got to have this chat, given the fact that she was kidnapped while flying FPV. It's pretty unreal. It's definitely something that I've never even worried about here in the US. But, you know, it just goes to show that our international communities are all different. And while that may be something that influences the FPV culture in Mexico, we still are all, at the end, FPV pilots. And the same passion and joy and community flows through all of us. There might be some drama on occasion, but we are all of us pilots that fly robots. It's awesome. In the next episode, we're going to hear a little bit about Angela's origin story. She's been flying drones since 2011, and she's been flying FPV since 2014. That's a long time. I hope that you join us, and I hope that you enjoy it. I'd like to give a shout out to my patrons. They're awesome. I thank them, and I hope that if you are interested, you'll check the link below and maybe join as a patron. They get a podcast that they are able to listen to. It's the entirety of the interview. It's not cut up into segments like what you're seeing here, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.